And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Sunday, August 18th, 2024. And if you'd like additional weather information on top of what I give you in this YouTube broadcast, you can go to weather.gov. That is the National Weather Service's online presence. It'll bring you to a map of the continental U.S., Hawaii, Alaska to the lower left, and then tabs for the territories at the bottom. You point and click anywhere on this map, you'll get a very specific forecast for any location in the nation, including any relevant watches, warnings, or advisories for that particular spot. And on the weather map here this afternoon, on Sunday afternoon, we have severe thunderstorm and flood watches from the mid-Atlantic region, New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania, all the way down into the southeast U.S. And then through the lower Mississippi Valley and the southern plains, we have heat advisories and excessive heat warnings. Further west, there are flash flood watches in the slot canyons of Utah. Thunderstorms have potential to produce heavy downforce that could result in flash flooding. And we have high fire danger. We have critical fire weather conditions in southeast Idaho and portions of central and southwest Nevada. Here in Alaska, we're dealing with storm system number 2 to impact the west coast, and even the influence of that system is pushing inland across the mainland now. Coastal flooding has occurred in Kuskokwim Bay and the lower Kuskokwim River, especially there just below Bethel. And the worst of it seems to have peaked this Sunday, late morning, early afternoon. Conditions should gradually improve for tonight and into the day Monday. Storm number 3 is on target here to come up through the western Bering and impact St. Lawrence Island and areas of the west coast around Norton Sound, the Seward Peninsula, Tuesday night into Wednesday and Thursday. And that system could actually have some stronger winds and wave action there, especially within Norton Sound if it takes the current track that it looks like it might. Overall, though, for the state of Alaska and the mainland especially, a cooler and wetter early fall pattern is shaping up to close out August. The last week here, starting next weekend into the last week of August, it's looking rather chilly and wet. Areas of the state that could even include some snow in the higher elevations or in areas that often see that early season snow. So looking at Bettles, rain, there's a flood watch in effect. Another inch or two of rain could fall this Sunday late afternoon into Monday. Temperature at 60 degrees, rather mild with this front. In areas along Kuskokwim Bay, we are looking still at some minor coastal flooding. This is an image, Quigilingnak, from this late morning. You can see the flooding there along the coast there at 48 degrees and between gusty conditions and showers, and it's caused the water to back up within Kuskokwim Bay, and that's why the river has backed up as well, causing some flooding there along the lower stretches of the Kuskokwim River. Homer this morning had strong easterly flow coming down along. Had a friend text me from Seldovia saying the temperature was 74 degrees there at 9 a.m. this morning. And earlier today, Homer in the late morning had a high of 72. That was in town at the airport. And then Ketchikan, look at this, sunny. 70 degrees as of early afternoon in areas of the Panhandle. Enjoyed a fairly sunny, dry, and warm weekend, though it looks like some clouds and a few showers are going to be making up into the Panhandle tonight into Monday. So the lower Kuskokwim River, there has been some flooding. Tuntutulak is showing that some of the structures have water right up there to the doorstep. So conditions, though, it looks like the maximum extent, the combination of the tides with the river being back up, was reached this Sunday afternoon. Conditions should start to improve, especially as we go through Monday morning and afternoon. But we still have flood warnings along the lower stretch of the Kuskokwim River, and then coastal flood advisories for along Kuskokwim Bay. We also have high surf advisories along Norton Sound from Nome through Gullivan down through Shaktoolik, Unalakleet on over to Stebbins, and then also from there at the Bering Strait, Wales, over through Shishmaref and into around Kotzebue Sound. And conditions there will be improving as we go through later tonight and during the day on Monday. But there's going to be another system. The third storm is going to be coming Tuesday across the western Bering and then impacting this area, especially Norton Sound, the Seward Peninsula, into Kotzebue Sound Wednesday into Thursday. And then with the current system front that's working its way eastward, we still have some moderate to heavy rain here along the south central slopes of the Brooks Range, including Bettles. That area could pick up yet another inch or two of rain, and then we still have some wind advisories into this evening for the White Mountains, just north and northeast there, Fairbanks and Isabel Pass in the Alaska Range. Now, we also had earlier today a volcanic ash cloud advisory issued by the Aviation Weather Service. That plume was riding 14 to 28,000 feet aloft. It is in the process of dissipating, but the remnants of it will be crossing Cook Inlet. There we have this front right here in the central interior, so the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere, the remnants of that plume will be riding northeastward across the eastern mainland as we go through this evening and this Sunday night. And there's another little lower level plume out here way out toward the western Aleutians, but that's heading more off toward the east-southeast and really not expected to impact the mainland. Fire danger, well, non-existent pretty much here in areas that have had rain, and especially along the western mainland. There's still pocket of higher fire danger, some very high fire danger in the upper Tanana Valley. In fact, our cooperative observer, Katie and Toke, reported 87 degrees for a record high for today, getting some downslope there from the Alaska Range. And just the middle of last week had a low of 26 degrees, so quite a turnaround in temperatures there. But as I said, I'm going to start to see a few showers make it into this area. But essentially, the fire season has really wound down, has pretty much ended. We'll have an update on this perhaps here by Thursday of this upcoming week. But this was from this past Thursday, indicating that things definitely are winding down across the state of Alaska. We're not anticipating any conditions that would allow for any large-scale fires or any large-scale fire spreading. So here is the main weather feature, this front and low pressure that came on shore. I'll put the satellite imagery in motion here in just a moment. Ridge of high pressure out over the Panhandle, giving the Panhandle a great weekend. Now, as we put this in motion, notice the front is working its way eastward. The center of low pressure is crossed up through the Seward Peninsula today, and this front will continue working its way eastward. The ridge has kind of slowed it down, and then there's another system off the lower left corner of the screen. That's going to be storm number 3. So as of this Sunday late afternoon, we have one low here located right in the wider expanse of Norton Sound, just southwest of Nome. We have the front. This is ahead of this front is where we still have some temperature 70s, and like I mentioned, that 87 degree reading at Toke due to the warming coming down the downslope flow there from the higher terrain off the far eastern Alaska Range. This ridge of high pressure in place, this is what's brought the Panhandle some pretty decent weather, especially away from the immediate coast where you have a marine layer. But out here, ahead of this front this morning, easterly winds help downslope flow, warm temperatures into the low 70s there in Homer. So it can happen even in a place like Homer to get some downslope warming. So by late tonight into Monday morning, the front continues to work its way eastward, crossing the Alcan border. So the really warm temperatures get pushed eastward into northwest Canada. We have a little secondary cold front, a little pocket of colder air aloft that's going to be swinging into the lower Yukon Delta and up into the west central interior. And then if you look off to the southwest or the bottom corner of your screen, this was once Typhoon Ampil. This typhoon impacted Japan. This system is not as strong as post-Merbach a couple of years ago, but it will be carefully monitored because it has enough wind with it that as it comes into the west coast here midweek, especially on Wednesday, there are going to be issues with potentially coastal flooding and high surf in areas of Norton Sound along through the Bering Strait and perhaps into Kotzebue Sound. So we'll have additional updates for any watch warnings or advisories associated with that low. But in the meantime, we have a little weak secondary low around Prince William Sound linger Monday, but conditions will be improving across South Central later Monday. And certainly by the time we get into Tuesday will be probably the best weather day across South Central into the eastern interior with clearer skies, drier conditions. Could be a few light showers around the Panhandle, but here comes that next low. It's taking a track a little further west out in the Bering. It's expected to pass up through the Bering Strait later Wednesday, and as that happens, that's going to bring in gale force southwest winds right into Norton Sound and along especially the west side of the Seward Peninsula up through the Bering Strait. There could be some storm force gust with this low just because given the fetch and setup of the way the circulation of the system is looking to orient itself. So in the meantime, Monday morning lows 50s across the Panhandle, mild, and even here through areas of south central with the cloud cover and diminishing showers, or I should say rain diminishing to some scattered light showers. And then Monday afternoon, if you can get a little sunshine, temperatures in through the Panhandle, if there's some breaks, certainly upper 60s to near 70, maybe 70 there at Skagway. Should get back up above 60s, say Anchorage Bowl, Talkeetna, at Copper River Basin. Any clearing Tuesday night could lead to some patchy fog just given the wet ground conditions. Lows getting down into the 40s. Meanwhile, the Panhandle low temperatures hold up in the 50s, low mid 50s. We're looking at temperatures 60s, a few isolated 70s in the southern part of the Panhandle, maybe up there around Haines or Skagway. And then a little warmer Tuesday afternoon, I would say mid to upper 60s across areas of south central that don't deal with any type of breeze in off of the water. And for the northern and central interiors, lows tonight around 50. Yukon Flats down through Northway. 30s along, above freezing though, mid-upper 30s from the Bering Strait up to Utqiagvik. And then Monday afternoon, coolest temperatures along the west side of the state, only in the 40s. It's not going to warm up here. Coming up 6-10 day outlook, it's going to be cooling down further. And then here along the Alcan border, instead of 70s and isolated 80-degree readings, Monday afternoon, you're going to see high temperatures, only maybe like Eagle getting up there to about 62. And then come Tuesday morning, there could be some areas of frost where skies clear out, as well as some patchy morning fog, given any areas that receive rain and have a damp ground. Out to the west, temperature actually bumps up with the approaching winds and clouds with the next system. And then for Tuesday afternoon, we're looking at highs generally in the 50s in the Yukon, Tanana Valley. Could even be 50-ish along the Arctic coast, Wainwright, on over toward Dead Horse. You're getting a little bit of downsloping there to help keep the temperature up. And then across the southwest interior, 40s for lows, mid-upper 40s along the Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula. Temperatures really don't go anywhere. I mean, the immediate coastlines, upper 40s to near 50 for highs here, Yukon, Kuskokwim deltas, and then maybe 55 king salmon, Dillingham, and then maybe upper 50s, 58 or so. You get down there, False Pass, Cold Bay into Dutch Harbor. And Tuesday morning lows, if there's a few, some clearing, you could see some patchy frost north there of McGrath on just the west side of the Alaska Range, otherwise 40s. Lows near just above 50 along the Alaska Peninsula and eastern Aleutians. And then temperatures Tuesday afternoon, you can get a little sun in here. Notice places like back up around or just above 60. Around King Salmon, 63, Kodiak City, 65 at Homer. So there'll be some of the warmest temperatures here around the Kenai Peninsula. But even back down here toward Dutch Harbor, 61 for high. And there is going to be a bigger push of warmer air initially coming across the central and eastern Aleutians because that storm on Wednesday, late Tuesday into Wednesday, is going to take a track further west up here in the Bering. So that's going to allow a push of mild air up into, say, Bristol Bay, the Alaska Peninsula, and into south central areas ahead of that. But looking ahead to next weekend, this is August 24th through the 28th, so that's roughly next weekend into early the following week here to close out that last week of August. Below to much below normal temperatures, and again centered in the same area as the west side and southwest portion of the state. Not looking at any really warm temperatures. And on top of the cooling conditions, because there's going to be some air coming down from eastern Russia and out of the Arctic Ocean into this region. Some of the precipitation, especially in higher elevations, could even be mixed with or changed to periods of some snow in the wake as a system passes through. And of course, with that kind of setup, you're going to at times have moist southwest flow ahead of these lows and fronts. So precipitation is expected to average above normal, especially centered on south central around Prince William Sound, the Kenai Peninsula, Anchorage, Talkeetna Mountains. That would be the logical setup for that kind of pattern shift out. So get ready for some early fall weather that's going to be cooler and wetter than normal.